Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the great city of Camden. I am Mayor Dana L. Redd, your Mistress of Ceremonies for today's occasion. On behalf of Chairman George Norcross, we are delighted that each of you can join us for this momentous day where we are breaking ground for the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy at Landing Square, the first Renaissance school under the Urban Hope Act. At this time, I would like to call upon Bishop Sullivan of the Camden Diocese to lead us in a word of prayer and to render today's invocation. Please welcome him.
Let us pray. Father of all, we raise our thoughts and hearts to you on this most important occasion of the groundbreaking of the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy. We thank you for the mighty labors of all who have made this possible. Their genuine concern for the education of the children of Camden is a sign to us of your loving providence and your constant presence. Continue to strengthen them and their resolve, and all in this town and in this state who seek to improve the quality of education for our children in order to assure them a productive future as members of our nation. Bless this city, its leaders, its civic leaders, its peoples, its concerned citizens who seek to make this city invincible. All praise and thanksgiving to you, Almighty God, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Sullivan. Today we are joined by many distinguished guests, some of whom I would like to recognize at this time. Others you will be hearing from in today's program. Certainly we welcome our Governor, Chris Christie, back home to Camden. Along with our Senate President, Steve Sweeney. And Senator Don Norcross, Camden resident. Along with Assembly members Angel Fuentes, Whit Wilson, Gabby Mascara, and Paul Moriarty. Freeholders Louis Capelli, Jeff Nash, Ed McDonald, Ian Leonard, and Michelle Gentak. Camden County Sheriff Chuck Billingham. County Clerk, 4th and Royden, Joe Ripa. And Camden County Surrogate, Pat Eakin Jones. A very distinguished governing body led by Council President Frank Moran. Council Vice President Jenkins. Councilwoman Dana Burley, and Council members Louis Lopez and Brian Coleman. The President of the Cooper Foundation Board, Ms. Susan Bass-Levin. Camden Board of Education advisory members led by the President, Ms. Catherine Blackshear. And Vice President Martha Wilson. And Felicia Reyes Morton. And certainly none of this would be possible if it were not for resident leaders and the community as a part of this collaboration. Today, I recognize Sheila Davis and Sheila Roberts. It is because of their collective support and effort that Cooper Plaza and Lanning Square will now finally have a new school. Thank you, ladies. As the mayor of Camden, it is truly an honor and a pleasure to stand with all of our partners who genuinely want to restore the pride and grandeur to the city invincible, Camden, New Jersey. It is because of individuals standing here with me today, and especially our residents, that we've been able to make the tough yet necessary decisions to grab a hold of our finances, to change the public safety paradigm in Camden, and yes, to make decisions about education that will move our city forward. And from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of my residents, I thank each of you for helping to lift Camden up. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Our first speaker of this morning is recognized as South Jersey's own. He has been a vocal advocate, along with Senator Norcross, for higher education reforms to benefit all of New Jersey's institutions of higher learning, which will certainly expand and invest in our world-class institutions that we have right here in Camden. He's been a leader on the Economic Opportunity Act of 2013 that will foster economic development, revitalization, and job creation, not just here in Camden, but certainly throughout South Jersey and throughout the entire state. Senate President Steve Sweeney is committed to South Jersey. He is committed to Camden, and I am proud to call him my friend. It gives me great pleasure to introduce him at this time. Please welcome Senate President Steve Sweeney.
This is another great day for the city of Camden and all of South Jersey, and I'm sure many other wonderful days to follow. You know, the people in this room have decided the status quo doesn't work anymore. And I want to thank Senator Norcross and Assemblywoman Wilson and Fuentes for their leadership to make this kind of thing happen. And honestly, for our governor, not to accept the status quo either. We had to change. I think a great guy, Einstein or somebody, said if you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, it's called insanity. Well, that's what was going on here. And too many young people and too many generations are being wasted. And education is the key to a quality life. And there's too many young people that are not getting that opportunity. So I want to thank everyone that was involved, and honestly, my friend George Norcross, because he is a tireless fighter for this city, and he does it for one reason, because he cares about the people here. So for everyone involved, and Mayor, probably the toughest job in the country, hell of a mayor, and we're going to have a lot of great. We're going to have a lot of great things happen in this city, and I'm going to steal one of the governor's lines: bipartisanship sometimes does work. So again, to everyone here, thank you, and the governor, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Senate President Sweeney. Our next speaker hails from the city of Camden and has been a friend and an advocate for our city on education reform, economic development, including the co-sponsorship of the Economic Opportunity Act. He has stood tall and proud for job creation and public safety, among a number of issues that he has been a vocal advocate. He is dedicated to the creation of public-private partnerships and other initiatives which spur economic development, revitalize neighborhoods, and rejuvenate Camden's downtown business district. He is a public servant that I am proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with, and I know him as a lifelong advocate for the working men and women. His efforts have resulted in the creation of quality jobs for people across South Jersey's region. The Senator, Donald Norcross, is the sponsor of the Urban Hope Act, along with Assemblyman Angel Fuentes and Whit Wilson, which is why we are here today at this groundbreaking occasion. And Senator Norcross worked very closely with Governor Christie to ensure its passage. Because of his leadership, we know that students in Camden are offered hope and new academic opportunity, which will help to propel them and prepare them for the future. Please welcome my friend, Senator Donald Norcross, the next congressman for this district.
Thank you, Mayor. What a great day it is to be here. Governor, good to have you here. Senate President Sweeney, who we just returned from Israel. And when we talk about issues that we face in this Camden, if they can do it in Jerusalem, we certainly can do it here in Camden. But Senator, for all your help and support, we certainly appreciate it. To Superintendent Rehan Fard, somebody who has hit the ground running, but more importantly, he's been listening. Good to have you here, and thank you for all your advocacy. 12 years ago, Landing Square School was shut down because of structural issues. What we have just to my right outside the door is a lot that sits empty. So think about it. If you had a young child who was ready to go into kindergarten, they're now graduating, and the school still hasn't started. Had lots of plans over the years, whether it was the School Construction Corporation or SDA, $45 million plan to build a school here. Yet, it wasn't being built for a variety of reasons. We're not here to point fingers and blame, but to bring solutions. We heard the community, the frustrations, time after time, promise after promise, and yet nothing happened. And my colleagues, Assemblyman Fuentes and Assemblyman Whit Wilson, who literally walks here, he lives 2 blocks away, knew we had to do something. State of New Jersey spends over $12 billion a year on public education. I think that deserves, from time to time, to take a look at it. How can we do things differently, but more importantly, do things better? So that was our focus. That was our vision when we got together. Because it doesn't matter, and it should matter, what zip code you come from, whether or not you have a quality education for your children. So that's exactly the genesis, what gave birth to what we now know as the Urban Hope Act, or as I call the public schools on steroids. We listened certainly to the community. We listened to the experts from education. We knew we had to listen to those folks who called us home in this area and created this pilot program. Trenton, Newark, and Camden were the 3 selected cities with no more than 4 projects in each. The fact of the matter is Camden City was the only city so far that has taken advantage of that we can look at it. So back in January of 12, and then because we don't always do things the correct way the first time in the legislature, we had to fix a couple things. So literally in August of 2013, our governor signed the Urban Hope Cleanup Bill, and here we are today. Camden went to work. And what we'll have today is the first Renaissance school in the state of New Jersey. Now, originally, School Construction Corporation put a $45 million price tag on this project. The fact of the matter is, because of the Urban Hope Act and the Renaissance legislation, they're going to build a school, operate it, and do it better and quicker for 95 cents on the dollar of what we currently pay, saving the taxpayers of New Jersey over $40 million. You can do things better. We've had enough of the promises. As my parents used to tell me, don't tell me, show me. And that's what we're doing here today. That third leg of the stool that I talk about public safety, about jobs, the New Jersey Economic Development Act, and certainly the Urban Hope Act, giving hope to those children of the next generation. I just want to thank the mayor, the governor, the Senate president, and certainly my colleagues for helping this move forward. Today is a day for action. The hope begins today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is one of the newest partners that has arrived in our city. He is the first state superintendent of the Camden School District, Mr. Payman Rohanaford. As the senator has already indicated, he has hit the ground running. He's been traveling around the city, meeting with our students and with our families to discuss opportunities and ways to ensure that our students are able to learn at excellent schools. He is finding new opportunities and collaborations in order to effectuate and implement change for education in the city of Camden. I can tell you that I am inspired by his passion for our children, his commitment to making sure that our students had the same opportunities as every child in this state. Please welcome Mr. Payman Rohanaford, State Superintendent of the Camden School District.
Thank you so much, Mayor Red. Today we're here to mark an important step forward for our schools. Yet at the same time, the conversation today reminds me a lot of the conversations I've been having with my wife. So we're expecting our first child, a boy, and our conversations are about a child who isn't, thank you. And our conversations are about a child who isn't quite here yet. And today we're gathered to talk about students who aren't quite here yet. These conversations are important. They let us imagine things as we believe they should be. And I want the same for my child as the students who will benefit from this school. My wife and I want a safe, modern facility. We want a team of well-supported educators who are going to motivate our son, who are going to challenge our son, and ultimately encourage our son to dream. And that is exactly what the students of this school will get, and that's exactly what they deserve. Today is the latest step in making sure that becomes a reality for all of our students in Camden. And that is incredibly hard work. We have to make sure that we get the feedback from the community, and in our partnership with our school advisory board, in our partnership with our local political leaders, in our partnership with our parents and our families and the guardians of our students, we have begun that work. But let's be clear, that's really hard work. It's complex work. And it's at times messy work. A school is not built overnight. A school is not improved overnight, let alone a couple dozen schools here in Camden. But with the support of our governor and our incoming commissioner and many of the people here in this room today, and of course, our talented educators and our parents, that work is right, that work is possible, and that work will happen, and we're going to work tirelessly to make sure it happens. So thank you all for your continued support, and thank you again for being here today.
I'd like to recognize a few other leaders that are here with us today. As you know, in the city of Camden, we celebrate the Eds and Meds as the new identity of the city of Camden. And today we are joined by John Sheridan, who is the president and CEO of the Cooper Health System. Adrian Kirby, who is the president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare. Dr. Paul Katz, who is the dean of this beautiful medical school. Dr. Ali Huzman, president of Rowan University. And two additional Board of Education advisory members that have joined us, Ms. Tanisha Manier, and also Barbara Coscarella. As we continue to write the new chapter of Camden's future, Camden is now fortunate to have an accomplished teacher and experienced school administrator to serve as the executive director for the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy in Camden. Drew Martin has recently served as a school leader at Rise Academy, a KIPP school in Newark, New Jersey. But in his new role, Drew will be the executive director for our school in Camden and oversee the educational program for the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy. Please welcome our next speaker, Drew Martin, the executive director for the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy at Lanning Square.
Good morning. It is a good morning. So before we get to the ceremonial groundbreaking, I actually want to take a brief step back in time to the spring of 2003. So in the spring of 2003, we had just received the first results from our founding class of fifth graders. And we had learned that our fifth graders had gone from the 19th percentile in math to the 91st percentile nationally. We learned that they had gone from the bottom decile in reading to the top quartile in reading in just 1 year. But we also learned that there was a long list of naysayers that were there to explain away our results. And the basic polite thing that was said was, okay, you did that for 1 year with one group of kids, but can you do that for another year? And after our second year, when our fifth and sixth graders performed at an incredibly high level, they said, okay, well, you did that with fifth and sixth graders, but seventh graders are really difficult. And so the story went on like that, and over the course of 4 years after our school had been full grown, they said, okay, well, you did this with one school, but can you do it with two? And so I left as a teacher at Team Academy to become the principal at Rise Academy. And then the naysayers said politely, okay, well, you've done it with two schools at the middle school level, but can you do it with a high school? And so we now run 6 schools in the city of Newark, and when we decided to come to Camden, we were actually surprised by the argument of the defenders of the status quo and the naysayers who said, effectively, well, you did that in Newark, but can you really do it with Camden? And that was the first time we had ever considered that somebody would make the argument that educating students in the city of Newark is really easy. Well, wait till you come to Camden. So, it actually reminded us of a story that we tell all of our new students when they join us. It's a story that we tell on the first day of the school year in August, because we start early. It's a Christmas story, and we tell it on usually the hottest day of the year. It's the Polar Express. It's a story about a boy who gets a Christmas bell from Santa Claus, and the only people that believe in Santa Claus are the ones that can hear the bell. And the last line of the story says, as I've grown older, my friends can no longer hear the bell. But though I've grown old, I can still hear the bell as all who truly believe. And we use this story as a metaphor to tell our students that growing up in cities like Newark and Camden, statistics indicate that you're not supposed to believe that you can go to and then through college. As we know, less than 10% of our students are doing that. We tell them that along the way there's going to be obstacles. And it's going to be very difficult to hear the bells. But we're very excited about this new opportunity in Camden, and when we came down here to consider working with all of the many folks down here that have made this opportunity possible, we were just blown away by all of the people that heard the bells. From the governor of the great state of New Jersey, from the mayor of our city, Invincible, from the new superintendent, from everybody at Cooper University Hospital and the Cooper Foundation, from everybody in the community, from, in particular, our community leaders, Sheila Davis and Sheila Roberts. Everybody that we've come across has heard the bells. And this is something that we are looking forward to, making sure that our kids can hear the bells as well, that we know that they can and will go all the way to and through college, and we're looking forward to working with everybody in this audience who hears the bells and helping our students come August when we start hearing the bells as well. So thank you very much.
Our next speaker I've known for close to 25 years of my political life, certainly believes in Camden and in our children. He believes in creating a pipeline that takes our youth from cradle to college to career. For him, it is about his family, it's about their legacy, and the city whose time has finally come. George's father served on the Cooper Board of Trustees for many years and was deeply committed to Camden. He taught George the importance of community. Following in his father's example, he has served on the Cooper Board for 24 years and has been the chairman since 2006. He has been a long advocate for public safety, education reform, and Cooper's involvement in the community. Along with Speaker Roberts, he championed and lobbied for the passage of the Higher Education Reorganization Act, the Economic Opportunity Act, along with Senator Steve Sweeney, and most recently, the Urban Hope Act with Senator Norcross, Assemblyman Fuentes, and Wilson. But what is special about George is that he makes things happen. And as an old Baptist preacher once said, and I know that's right. Thanks to his leadership, Cooper has invested almost $1 billion in Camden, including the 10-story Roberts Pavilion, the Cooper Medical School of Rowan University after a 40-year struggle that was started by his father, and the MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper, a partnership with the #1 cancer program in the United States. His family's $5 million pledge to the Cooper Foundation, the charitable arm of the Cooper Health System, in honor of his mother and father, set the stage for the Cooper Foundation's involvement in so many programs. He encouraged the Cooper Foundation to seek an educational partner for a Renaissance school in this neighborhood. And today, as the result of his vision, we are about to break ground on the KIPP Cooper Norcross Academy at Lanning Square. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome George Norcross, Camden's man for the season.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I begin, I want to mention something that just struck me. Back in October, at the dedication of the MD Anderson Cooper Cancer Center, I think I said that that day would probably be the most important day that I had, that those of us involved at Cooper had. Sitting here listening to people this morning made me realize that today is the most important day of anything we have ever done for the city of Camden, for the children of this city, and for this region. And hopefully this will be replicated throughout the entire city. And 10 years from now, children will have the education they deserve, the education that my children and your children take for granted to some extent who live in the suburbs, but not the children that live in this city. Now, since the governor joined us for the dedication of MD Anderson Cancer back in October, a lot of things have happened. The Dallas Cowboys collapsed, as I predicted. I even went to Dallas with my family for that last game to make sure that not only they went down, but that I was texting our governor to make sure he was watching. We had elections in November. The governor and I and many of my colleagues rumbled pretty hard with him. We won that one too for the legislature. And we're proud. And we also had our annual Lark School charitable fundraiser, which has been enormously successful to benefit the Lark School, something very important to many of us. But there's one thing the governor, with all his power, has not been able to achieve. I'm the one who's able to shut down a bridge and have the Lark School charitable run for 7,000 people. There have been very few occasions where he and I have been together where when he begins his speaking, I will not be the recipient, or I will be the recipient, as you can imagine, of what might come. But Governor, 7,000 people run over that bridge and have run every year for the past decade plus to raise money for the children of the Lark School, children that are born into a world, along with their parents, that suffer deeply during the course of their lives, and something we're all proud to be involved with. So I'd love for you to join us this coming November. We're going to close that bridge again for a couple hours, and we're going to raise money. In the last number of months and years, a lot of things have happened in Camden. MD Anderson Cancer Center opened. Public safety in the city has changed dramatically since the Camden County Police Department came into formation. Crime is down in this city and is going to continue to fall under the auspices of our chief and those that are dedicated in that police force to make this city work. Today we dedicate the first Renaissance School, which is going to be entirely different. And its efforts at passing the legislation involve many different constituencies, not only our governor, our legislative leaders, the New Jersey Education Association, community leaders, Sheila and Sheila, who I've been working with, and those of us at Cooper have been working with for many, many years. That's a school that, when completed, will have almost 3,000 children, a K-12, that'll have a longer school day and a longer school year. It'll have doctors and nurses that are at Cooper that will volunteer to be big brothers and big sisters to these children, some of whom don't have a family that many of us have enjoyed during the course of our lives. That effort involved many, many people over a long period of time. It's probably the first time in the state of New Jersey that you've seen the various constituencies come together and work so hard to pass something so important. I'm proud we're the first in the state. I hope the other cities take advantage of this moving forward. There are people that have been involved at Cooper for many years, two of whom I want to mention today, that have spent the last several years making this day possible. Susan Bass-Levin and Lou Bessich. Both who have spearheaded this project through difficult times, many long hours, and will today be as proud as I will and all of you in the dedication and groundbreaking of what happens here. Let me conclude by saying this. None of this would be possible without the working environment of many of the people here today, but in particular the bold leadership of the governor. In my lifetime, there has never been a governor of either party who has worked harder and more diligently to help South Jersey, the city of Camden, and many of the things that we're so proud of in this region. And Governor, we applaud you for that. You are our friend and will be our friend. We wish you well. Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the state of New Jersey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, old George is something, isn't he? You know? Kicks me around, and then he says all those nice things to me right before I come up here, right? He's the master. Well, it's great to be back. And what struck me as I came into the city today, and I mentioned this to George when we were sitting up here, is all the amazing things that have happened here in the last few years. And I can't help but believe that they are a precursor to even more amazing things to come if we continue to remain committed to working with each other. I was happy to hear George say governor of either party. It's, to me, irrelevant for the purposes of what we've accomplished here in Camden, which party you're from. The fact is that you see a city here full of both struggle and potential. And the idea that anyone of either party would not be willing to stand up and lend a hand and support to the folks here who are trying to make a better life for themselves and for their children would seem to me to be opposite of everything that should motivate us to get into public service in the first place. So I'm so happy to be back here today for this event, because I agree with George on this too. Having MD Anderson Cancer Center here is great. Having this fabulous medical school here is great. Having Cooper Medical Center continue to grow and serve this population is wonderful. But I believe that this city will not come near reaching its full potential until we deal with two core issues, and that is the education of the children of this city and the safety of its citizens. And it's just common sense, isn't it? When people are deciding where they want to live, what do they think the most about? They think about their own and their family's safety, and they think about what institutions are in this place that can help my children reach their full God-given potential. And I don't care whether you're a young parent or an older one. I don't care whether you're white or African American or Latino or Asian. I don't care whether you come from a family who has a great deal of money or from a family who has just immigrated to this country with hopes and dreams for the future. Those two core questions are always the same. And a city cannot be truly vital unless people live here. We need more and more people to want to live in Camden. Not just come here for work, not just come here for an education, but to live here. There is no truly vital city in America that doesn't have an active, involved residential class that gives that city life 24 hours a day, not just when businesses are open, but 24 hours a day. We won't achieve that in Camden until we tackle those two core questions. How safe will their family be? And how well educated will their children be? And that's why I continue to invest my time and energy in this place. Because I'm convinced that the leaders here, community leaders, governmental leaders, educational leaders, are all on the same page in that regard. I can assure you, being the person in charge of a government that is responsible for 8.9 million people, that is not the case everywhere else in the state. I hope you all understand the power and opportunity that your unity of effort and spirit give you. Because I traveled to any number of cities across this state where the power of unity is missing, and therefore opportunity is gone. So for those who examine what's happening in Camden and constantly have critiques of it, I would say to you, this is a place where I look forward to doing the business of government. We'll continue to hear over the course of the coming months about the success of the public safety conversion led in this city by the county freeholders and by the city government. But you can already feel the difference here, and the statistics bear that out. And I want to personally thank and commend the chief and the men and women of the Camden County Police Department Metro Division for doing what they're doing for this city. That would not have happened, again, without that unity of spirit and the unity of the politics that needs to be done to turn spirit into opportunity. And it happened here. And also, to this event today, if you're not inspired by what you heard from the new executive director of this school, then I'd suggest to you that your blood is not running through your veins at a sufficient rate. Those accomplishments are inspiring. And I could tell you from having gone out last year to KIPP's annual national convention and spoken there, that that level of enthusiasm, but also determination to produce those results runs through the veins of everyone associated with KIPP. Camden has made an extraordinarily good choice in partnering with KIPP, and I thank KIPP for partnering with Camden very much. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. These years are starting to run to my head here. But I remember standing with Dana at Lanning Street in what had to be one of the hottest days I've ever done an outdoor event in this state. And I thought, and I said to Dana at the time, that I thought that that was a message being sent to us. That the heat that we should feel for the failure of our own actions to change the lives of the children in this city needed to get unbearable. And I felt it that day, both actually and metaphorically. And that's why folks like Assemblyman Wilson, Assemblyman Fuentes, and Senator Norcross for sponsoring the Urban Hope Act, and Senator Sweeney for posting it for a vote and advocating for it, are to be commended, because this stuff isn't easy to do. But nor should it be easy for us to continue to ignore these children. And let's be honest, that's what we have done. We can rationalize as much as we like, but we have ignored their futures. And today is a symbol of the beginning of the end of that conduct. And I am really proud and happy to have Paymon here to work with this community to make it happen for every child in the city. So groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. That's what Norcross invites me to. Groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings, and I'm thrilled to do it, because what it shows is there's action in this city. And once we change that mix, where action and results outstrip despair and broken promises, then the city Invincible will become a city that's an example for the rest of the state and this nation about what can be done when people come together around a unity of purpose and commitment and put aside the old divisions of politics and past failure. So I'm thrilled to be here. I am committed to this city and its continued growth. And as I've told every leader that I could speak to down here, for as long as I have the honor and privilege of being the governor of this state, one of my top goals will be that when I leave, I'll be able to look back on a Camden that is protecting its citizens and serving its children. And if we do that together, then we will have accomplished a great deal over 8 years together. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you once again to Governor Christie for your strong commitment to Camden's youth, families, and children. We look forward to future groundbreakings with you. And as this program comes to a close, let us not be weary in well-doing, for Camden's youth, children, and families will reap if we faint not. God bless you. God bless the city of Camden. Let's keep Camden moving forward. We want everyone to know that luncheon has been prepared for you in the Learning Commons Center for those of you who desire to remain with us for lunch. And for our speakers, we ask that you please stay at the front for photos. Again, thank you.